Chapter 9. Somewhere in Atlanta. Ryder was not himself. He was floating in and out of consciousness. He only saw flashes of movement around him. He was on a cart on his back being wheeled somewhere. At first it was in the concourse and he could hear distant gunfire. Then another moment he glimpsed the roof of a tunnel and another the ceiling of a small room. He tried to move his arms at one point, but he was strapped down. A penlight flashed into each of his eyes, and he heard two men talking about him. An injection went into his right arm, and everything went black. When he woke again, he was strapped into a wheelchair near a table. There was an IV in his arm. He opened his eyes slowly. His vision was not what it should be. Everything was blurry around him. He seemed to be in a small room with only one door. A man was behind him adjusting the settings on his IV monitor. He told the guard at the door, "Please let the father know he's awake." The guard at the door knocked, then it opened, and he left. Ryder tried to move his arms again, but he was tied tightly to the chair. He tried his feet, but they were also tied. Well, Ryder thought, I will just have to bide my time until I can develop an escape plan. The door opened and a man entered, but Ryder's eyesight was still too blurry to recognize him. "Talbot, leave us alone for a bit." "Yes, my father," the man said, bowing and heading to the door. Well, Major Trevor Ryder. It has been a long time," the man said, examining Ryder and then sitting across from him at the table. That voice, Ryder thought, and suddenly he remembered. It was almost 50 years ago. Recruit Ryder was in his final mission of basic training on Earth. Recruit Sebastian Samuels was sitting asking him what he thought they should do. Both of them were part of the same squad. The mission was to sneak behind enemy lines, free a prisoner, and return him to base. Everything was going well until Samuels rushed ahead and stepped on one of the tripwires that the drill sergeant set. It didn't kill him, but activated an alarm that sent the squad diving into a bunch of bushes to avoid capture as the drill sergeants came pouring in from the enemy base. Crawling through the bushes, Ryder emerged on the other side to find himself alone. The rest of the squad appeared to be captured. Waiting for a moment, he heard a rustle and Samuels emerged from the bushes as well. "Well," Recruit Samuels asked, "there are only two of us left. Should we just surrender?" "Are you kidding me, Samuels?" young Ryder said with obvious irritation. "We aren't giving up until we win this thing." Okay. I was just kidding. It's just that I haven't slept in over 24 hours, and I'm ready to call it a day. We'll probably still pass. Listen, man, if you want to give up, be my guest. I'm going in there and bring back the prisoner. Samuels nodded. Okay, then, what is the plan? Ryder's thought about it. We need a diversion. He pulled out the map he was carrying and looked at the route. The prisoner was being held just over the next hill. Samuel's screw-up with the tripwire gave him an idea. He looked and saw there was another trail nearby. I bet the drill sergeant set a trap on that one as well, Ryder thought. If his plan worked, they would talk about it for years to come. Follow me, he ordered Samuels. He led Samuels slowly toward the trail on the map, making sure that he didn't rush ahead and alert the sergeants. When they reached the trail, Ryder stopped Samuels while he looked around carefully. Then he saw it. The tripwire was covered up by leaves, but it was clearly there, ready and waiting for another unsuspecting soldier. Ryder pulled Samuels into a crouching position behind some bushes and explained the plan. Samuels agreed reluctantly, but was just happy this would all be over soon. However, if the drill sergeant sent more than one soldier in response, they would be in trouble. But Ryder doubted they could spare too many. They needed to watch the prisoners, and he could hear the other sergeants were still searching for them back where they first were attacked. They reviewed their plan, and then Samuels waited just beyond the tripwire. Meanwhile, Ryder hid in the bushes near the wire's anchor point. On the count of 3, he pulled the wire, setting off the alarm. Within a few minutes, he saw the drill sergeant running in, and Samuels took off running the other way, taunting the sergeant. This made the sergeant focus on Samuels. Ryder needed time to time his movements just right without being seen. He waited. Patience, he thought. Then, just as the sergeant was about to go past the tripwire, Ryder pulled it taut again. The sergeant, focusing on Samuels, tripped over the wire and fell face first onto the trail. Ryder was on him in a second, flipping the sergeant over and pointing his rifle directly into the drill sergeant's face. While the rifle was only filled with blanks, it was still intimidating, especially as Ryder stared into the sergeant's eyes. "Recruit Ryder, you better get off me right now," Drill Sergeant Brown ordered. "Sorry, Drill Sergeant, I can't do that. I have a mission to complete, and I'm going to need your jacket and hat." Minutes later, Ryder was walking slowly into the enemy base. Luckily, it had been Brown who he had tripped. If it had been Drill Sergeant Rickle, it would have been difficult for Ryder to impersonate a black man. But instead, it was Brown, who was about the same complexion as Ryder and the same height. With his drill sergeant hat far down on his head, he sauntered into the enemy base without a single glance. He left Samuels to watch over Brown to make sure he didn't sound the alarm. Ryder made his way to the prisoner. There were 8 prisoners, one for each of the teams to rescue, but right now there were only 5 prisoners remaining. "Shit," Ryder thought. "It looks like a few squads already have their prisoner, but they still need to make it back to base camp, so maybe I still have a chance to win." He approached one of the prisoners. He knew it was Bellows, one of the specialists in the unit. He whispered to Bellows, "Time to come with me, Bellows. I'm setting you free." "Drill sergeant?" Bellows asked. "Aren't I supposed to wait for the recruits to try and free me?" Bellows wasn't the brightest soldier, so Ryder leaned in closer and lifted his hat while reaching for Bellows' mouth just in time. Bellows' eyes lit up, and he was about to say Ryder's name, but Ryder stopped him. Ryder grabbed Bellows and then headed back the way they came. He could see other drill sergeants in the distance maintaining guard positions near the trails where recruits would most likely come. Ryder realized that Brown would be the one covering the trail distance he came through, so that route should be clear. So he headed out the way he came. They met up with Drill Sergeant Brown, who was holding a white rag to his bleeding nose where he fell after Ryder tripped him. Brown gave Ryder a look that scared him a little, but he hoped the success of the mission would validate his actions. "Okay, let's go," Ryder ordered. Samuels gave Ryder a high five before they headed back to the home base. In the end, they were the first team to return, and Ryder thought they would win the award. However, Brown was still so mad at him for his tactics, he convinced the sergeants to give the mission award and the first leadership award to another recruit. But to everyone's surprise, at graduation, Ryder was called to the stage and given the leadership award as well. While shaking hands with Drill Sergeant Brown, he whispered to Ryder, "I was mad at the time when you tripped me. However, I realized that you did what no other recruit in the unit did. You improvised. You turned a bad situation of losing most of your squad into a new strategy that gave you the victory. Soldier, I expect to see great things from you someday." Ryder never forgot Drill Sergeant Brown. Now, here was Sebastian Samuels back in his life again. Blinking his eyes a few times, Ryder looked across the table and realized it was indeed Sebastian Samuels, a much older Samuels, but the same soldier he met so many years ago. "Sebastian Samuels, it has been many years. I thought you were dead." "Ah, yes. I can imagine why you may think that. You see, I faked my own death many years ago." Interesting, Ryder thought. This makes sense. Even though his mind was still foggy from the drugs they were feeding him, he remembered what happened. Sebastian served out his military enlistment, only reaching private first class, but being a veteran helped him to get into the World Congress, where he was a senator for many years. But then a freak accident occurred, and when he died, they gave his son the senator position without even an election. Since then, his son, Paul Samuels, moved up the leadership chain and was now the vice chairman of the World Space Congress. Yes, that makes sense. You used your death so your son could move into the Senate. But why?" Samuels thought for a moment and then decided to talk. "So I could run the EOA, of course." Ryder looked directly at him. He didn't want to show the shock in his eyes, but before him sat the leader of the EOA. He flexed his muscles one more time, but the bonds were too tight. He wasn't going anywhere. However, it seemed that Samuels wanted to talk, so Ryder decided to find out as much as he could before he killed him and exacted his revenge for his daughter's murder. "The EOA? Really?" Ryder said, acting surprised. Oh, please, Ryder, stop feigning surprise. You and I are military leaders. We need not play games like this. I know why you came. You have been trying to track down the EOA ever since we attacked the Voyager. The words stung Ryder, and he looked down, trying to keep his composure. He could feel his massive rage from deep inside, and he clenched his fists, pulling at the binds once more. Yes, I know, Samuel said, reaching over and lifting Ryder's head to look at him. I know you lost your only daughter in that attack. That wasn't our goal. Actually, the goal was to destroy the whole ship. Samuel smiled, looking directly into Ryder's eyes. Ryder pulled at the binds, almost lifting himself out of the wheelchair. Relax, Ryder. I think you are still feeling the effects of the concussion grenades. We will talk more when you have calmed down a little bit. It took everything Ryder had to control himself, but he needed to get Samuels talking. He wasn't sure what he was after yet, but the final solution, whatever it was, seemed to be coming soon. Samuels left the room for a few minutes. The man in the white shirt, Talbot, came in to check the settings on Ryder's IV. Ryder said, "So, doctor, can I get out of these binds? I'm feeling a little bit better now." Ryder tried to see if he could get some sympathy from the doctor so he could get free and prepare an escape. Instead, Talbot ignored him and continued to check Ryder's vitals and pulled the IV out of his arm. He didn't take the binds off, though, and headed back out the door. Ryder didn't have to use the bathroom yet, but he might soon. I wonder what they will do then, he wondered. There was a small toilet in the corner of the room, but with his binds, he wasn't going there any time soon. He was feeling drowsy and nodded off again. Ryder was aroused by the door opening. He didn't know how long he slept, but Talbot entered again. He bound Ryder in handcuffs and leg cuffs as well. They were old-fashioned cuffs attached to heavy chains that would make it impossible for Ryder to escape at a run. Then Talbot looked at Ryder. Listen, I am going to take these binds off so that you can go to the bathroom on your own. If you make any trouble, they will see you on the cameras and they will permanently strap you to the cot. Don't make us do that. I hate cleaning soiled diapers. Do you understand? Yes, doctor, Ryder said, trying to sound as respectful as possible. I understand and will follow your orders. While Ryder knew he could take this man easily, even with the cuffs, he assumed they would never let him out of this room. Better to wait, be good, and then I will be given a better opportunity to escape, Ryder thought. The man undid the binds that held him to the wheelchair, allowing Ryder to get up and head to the toilet. In the meantime, the man wheeled the chair out the door and Ryder heard it lock. After using the toilet, he sat down on the cot and examined his body. It was challenging with the hand and leg cuffs, but he made do. They had stripped him of his uniform, and he was just wearing some underwear and a thin robe. He checked his body over, looking for injuries. It appeared he had some pretty good scrapes on his legs, and there was a pretty good bruise in his abdominal area. He touched it and could tell he probably broke a rib or two. His shoulder was badly bruised from the shot back in the stadium. Examining the bruise on his shoulder, he estimated it was only a few days old. That was good news. He was worried they might have kept him under for a lot longer. What did Samuels want from him, Ryder wondered. That was the big question. Also, Ryder wished he could know if the rest of his team was safe. Before being knocked unconscious, he vaguely remembered looking at Bullet and not seeing life in him, but maybe the others escaped when he ordered the retreat. His thoughts were broken by the door opening. It was Samuels again. Ryder, come, please. Join me at the table again, Samuels beckoned. I have fresh water and some fruit for you. Ryder struggled to his feet. He was still feeling the woozy effects of the drugs and the chains they put him in with the cuffs that were quite heavy and cumbersome. He got to the table and slid into place across from Samuel's. So, do you have any questions for me? Samuel asked, grabbing an apple slice for himself, then pushing the plate closer to Ryder. This was an interesting tactic, thought Ryder. I guess I will play along. So, Samuels, what is your plan for me? Oh, Trevor. Can I call you Trevor? Ryder nodded, acknowledging his first name. Trevor, I have been trying to capture you for some time. You see, you are the one leader who I'm unable to turn to my side. You continued to fight and stop my missions, my life's work. I tried to have the raiders kill you in New Denver, but you escaped that attack. And then, when I found out you were on Armstrong, my men tried to blow it up, but only succeeded in damaging one of the supply ships. Finally, we worked out a way that I could capture you instead and finish the plans. Do you mean the final solution? Ryder asked, looking directly into Samuel's eyes. The words made Samuel wince for a moment. Interesting. And where did you hear that name? Ryder decided there was no need for lies at this point. My computer specialist found it on Ryan's terminal. There were many references to it. Yes, Ryan. He played his part perfectly in guiding you here. He led your team right to his terminal, which led you to me. It is disappointing that you found out about the final solution. I do wish my disciples gave it a different name. Are you telling me that this whole thing was a trap to get me? I don't think I'm worth all that, Ryder said, feigning surprise again. Oh, Trevor, if you only knew how many times I have tried to kill you, and how many times you have foiled plots that I put together. Of course you know about the Mars mission, one of your greatest successes. If only Ryan succeeded, the whole Armstrong Dome would have gone up. That would have made a major setback in this unnecessary quest to populate the stars. Samuels leaned in and grabbed another apple slice. I understand how you led me to the stadium. That was pretty obvious, having Ryan land his ship on the old football field. But are you saying that you knew we would find out about tracking the boxes? Ryder looked at him in disbelief. Of course, Samuel said with complete confidence in his voice. I am the one who asked my son to start the program as a way to appease the people complaining about the lost foods. You see, Samuels leaned in close, the EOA has been stealing food for many years, building up a supply for my followers and my soldiers of God. I made sure that when Ryan wiped Samuels, used air quotes, his terminal, it would be easy for your man to find. If he didn't find it, I also left paperwork in the warehouse that would lead you to our location at the old CNN Center. Again, Ryder questioned, why go to so much trouble just to stop me? Samuels took a sip of water and leaning in said, Ryder, I decided recently that it would be better to stop fighting against you all the time and instead get you to join me. Join you? In what? Ryder was confused now. There was no need to act. Trevor, we were once fellow soldiers. We were on the same mission. You helped me to complete the final mission in basic training. You are a good man, but your hard work is misdirected. I want you to work for me, to help me finish what I started and bring humans back to where they belong. You want me to work with you after you goddamn soldiers killed my only daughter? You must be out of your mind! Ryder regretted saying it as soon as it came out of his mouth. Not because he didn't believe what he was saying. He could have said much worse. However, in an interrogation like this, you need to stay on the good side of the enemy and keep them talking. By offending Samuels, it would only make him mad and negotiations would end. I am sorry to hear that, Ryder, Samuels said, returning to the use of Ryder's last name. Samuels then raised 2 fingers, and instantly 2 guards entered along with Talbot. Ryder tried to get to his feet, preparing for a fight, but he wasn't going to win this one. The guards threw him down on the table, and the fruit plate went everywhere. Then he felt the first jolt of electricity coursing through his body, as every muscle screamed in pain. He fought the restraints and tried to get up and fight, but they hit over and over again with jolts of electricity. He tried to scream, but his jaws locked up, and he finally passed out. Chapter 10, Gemini. Cooper was laughing out loud at the joke Josiah had just told when he felt a hand on his shoulder. He turned, and his smile faded away. It was Rick Goodman. Cooper, it is great to see you again. I hope you don't mind if I join you. As he said this, Rick set his tray down right next to Josiah's and plopped down in the seat. He turned to Josiah and stuck his huge hand out and said, Hello, my name is Rick Goodman. Josiah hesitated only for a moment, then shook hands with the man. Hey, my name is Josiah. Nice to meet you. Rick shook Josiah's hand vigorously for longer than was necessary and then pulled away and laughed loudly. Ho, ho, ho! Oh, Josiah, of course. You work in security, right? I think your boss is Sergeant Timon? Josiah paused from taking a bite and looked at the man in surprise. How did you know that? Rick let out a huge laugh that shook the whole table, and Cooper grabbed his drink for fear that it might tip over. Listen, Josiah, it is my job to know everything and everyone who moves between these planets. And with my job, I must know that security is there to protect me when I need it. Josiah gave Rick a quizzical look and then went back to eating his chicken pot pie. Rick also dug into his pie as well, and in between bites he looked at Cooper. So, Cooper, my friend, how is training going? Cooper finished his bite he was on and answered, Well, it's hard work, but I'm learning a lot. I love the spacesuit they gave me. Who knew that a suit could have its own personality? Yes, yes. That is something that changed space travel forever. I never had the privilege of using one of those advanced suits myself, but I hear they are amazing. It is sort of like having a terminal built into your brain, so I have heard. Then Rick leaned in closer to Cooper and whispered, And what of Bolts? Have you had a chance to talk to him for me? Cooper had all but forgotten about Rick's proposal until he sat down, and now he unconsciously put his hand to his chest pocket, where he still had the card Rick had given him, along with the credit cards from Ryder. Cooper responded, Well, it has been busy since I got here. In fact, I've only been with First Sergeant Bolts for a few minutes. Most of the time I spend out in space fixing spaceships. The thing was, he didn't have to lie. He was too busy to even talk to Bolts about anything. Rick looked intently at Cooper for a moment, then leaned back into one of his huge laughs again. Oh, I don't know what I was thinking, Cooper. Yes, 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 I totally understand. Well, anyway, if you can speak with him soon, just keep it in mind. Rick then looked past Cooper to another person who was sitting down. Oh my, I see someone whom I really need to talk to. Well, boys, Rick said, turning to them both, I appreciate chatting with you. Let's catch up another time. Rick got up, shaking the table again with his bulk, and was gone. Josiah looked at Cooper, and they both burst out laughing. What? What's with that guy? Josiah said after calming down enough to speak. I have no idea. He sat down next to me on the shuttle from the moon, and I couldn't get rid of him. He's a sales guy, I guess, but he seems to know a lot about me and everything going on here. Yeah, that's what he said, Josiah agreed. Maybe I will look into his file and see what I can find. Good idea. I'm not sure about that guy. Maybe he's just a sleazy salesman, but there is something about him that bothers me. Well, he did try to bribe me to talk to Bolts for him. Really? Josiah asked. That doesn't surprise me at all, and they both burst out laughing again.